Judy Sleed. Special guest, Patrick Christiano, the artistic director of SilvaRoad Productions. And now here's Judy.
Thank you. Once again, Lee just can't get away from this. Everybody thinks he's Cary Grant. And I'm wearing my Judy Garland shirt today, especially for you, Patrick. So nice to have you here. I haven't seen you for a long time, and I finally got you to come on my show.
But I just saw you Saturday night.
Oh, that's right. Well, that's when I asked you to come on my show.
Right.
Yes, and I'd like to know a lot about your production, a SilvaRoad production. I know I saw one of your plays that you were in it with this company, The Owl and the Pussycat.
Yeah, that was very nice of you to come.
Yes, all the way. I slept all the way to the city. You did a nice job. And how did you get to do this production? You have your own company. I'm very interested in that. Could you tell me and the whole world?
You know, I believe in destiny, so I guess it's my destiny to do this, is what that's about. And you know, my degree is in speech theater from Montclair State College, and acting was always my first love. I got the first play that I ever auditioned for in New York City, a play called Stranger on the Earth. It was an off-Broadway play, and I played the Impressionist painter George Seurat. And it ran for a very, very long time. I mean, over a year. And in doing this play, I never got another job while I was doing it. And because I was desperate and hungry for the money, actually, you know, because I was a young kid back at that time. And I sat down when this play was over, and I said to myself, you know, if you did this for 20 years and you had no money, you'd be miserable.
I guess so.
You know, so I wasn't ready to be a starving actor at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't ready to give up the theater either, so I kind of shifted my focus towards things that brought money into my life. And it's a long story, but it eventually brought me to doing real estate out here.
Very smart move.
And I've done real estate out here since 1987. I'm still a broker with Corcoran. However, 5 years ago, and when I started doing real estate, I said, you know, I'm going to give up the theater now, but I'm going to go back to it when the time is right. And it's my philosophy that, you know, you bring your life experiences to the stage, and your view of life is what all you have to say and speak about. So I always felt that when I did come back to do the theater, that it would be with a new wisdom and understanding of who I was and who the world was and what it was I had to say and articulate.
Right, but how did you get the name SilvaRoad? Are you coming to that?
You were going to get there. 5 years ago, in 2000, I decided I wanted to go back to the theater. Mm-hmm. And so I shifted the focus from real estate to theater, and I started taking an acting workshop in New York with a brilliant, brilliant lady, Zena Jasper, who was a Harold Clurman protege, who was an actress for 20 years, has been a teacher for 20 years, and is a director. And out of going to her workshop, after about 1.5 years, I decided that I wanted to produce a play. And I did a scene from this play called Pinter's, The Lover, is what the play was. And she said, gee, you two are so right for that. And I thought when I was in the shower, gee, I'm so right for that. That's just a one-act play. You know, I should produce that play. You know, and it's just 2 characters. That's an easy play to produce. So I decided to produce the play. And then I said, gee, that's 45 minutes. That's not an evening. I need more to make that an evening. I need to have another play. So I decided I was going to produce an evening called Two by Pinter, and I read the complete works of Pinter. I couldn't find a companion play that I thought worked well with it. However, there was this other play, a Tennessee Williams play that was about 45 minutes. And I thought the two together made an interesting statement about relationships. And I decided to produce those two plays and call it Pinter and Williams. In the Williams play, which was called 27 Wagons Full of Cotton, there was a character that I played. Silva was his name. And he had a line in the play that said, everything that's not gold is silver. And he meant by that life has high moments that are the peaks, but everything in between is what life is about, and is what sustains the peaks. So I decided to call the production company SilvaRoad because the theater is about everything in between, really. That's what sustains the high points, and everything in between leads to what the high points are. So it's about keeping on the journey and staying there, and everything you have to do to get to where you're going is the stuff in between that cumulates into the actual.
That's very smart and very promising title, and I wish you lots of luck with it. And how many productions did you have so far?
Well, we did Pinter and Williams. We did the Owl and the Pussycat, the Bill Manoff play that you saw, that I also acted in.
Yes, you were the star.
Well, Chantal George, who we had hoped to be here this evening.
Yes.
But she's not going to get here until later on tonight, and she was really disappointed she couldn't come on the show. When I told her, you know, I had booked her for a show, she got all excited. I said, but you're going to miss it, honey.
Yes, you did a good job, very good job. It was worth the trip.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then we did, you know, we were developing a play with Phoebe Legere, a musical about the first woman president called Hello, Mrs. President, with 16 songs.
Oh, I remember when you were doing that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we did a concert reading of that at the Theater for the New City.
Yes.
And that one, I mean, that we sold out. We only did 3 performances of that, but we did that and it sold out. It was really, it's a very interesting project. I'm not sold on the script. I love the music. The music, Phoebe is such a talent. She's an incredible character.
In other words, it needs work. That show.
I'd like to workshop the book some more, actually. Yeah, the whole purpose of doing the concert reading was to see how the book stood up, and I knew the music is wonderful because the music is just great. But the book, I wasn't, you know, I had my reservations about it, putting it up on its feet and seeing it, and we also had an amazing cast in that, just an amazing cast. You know, I hope we get back to that someday and put that back up again.
Did you direct that?
I directed that, and I actually I did it. There was one part that we couldn't cast, or we had trouble casting, so I played this tiny little part, which was this nasty, smarmy guy that was running for president. You know, running against Mrs.
Well, that's what you did. That's what directors do. They fill in.
Right.
You remember when we did the reading of my play, Oh Gregory, right here on this stage, and you waited till the last minute when somebody didn't have a role. You just
oh, yeah, I did.
Yes, Edgar.
Edgar is it? Yes.
Yes. Well, I'll never forget how you got me started on that. If it wasn't for you, I would never do any readings of my plays.
Thank you.
Because you really encouraged me, and you said you're going to help me, even though you didn't care for the play. You said it's not my thing, but I'll help you.
I said it's not my cup of tea, is what I said.
Yeah, but I'll help you because I love you. Those were your exact words.
Well, I also felt, you know, by the same way I wanted to read Phoebe Legere's Hello, Mrs. President, the author benefits so much from a reading of the piece so that you can see what works. And as a director, directing it and hearing it, you get another insight into what works and what doesn't work and the direction it needs to go. You get to see it off the page. It's a big difference than just reading it. So
it is.
Yeah, to have actors actually say your words and you hear actors. I mean, it must have been a really good experience for you.
Yes, and I did it again at the Naked Stage. That's at Guildhall.
Right.
And it was, a lot of changes were made in it, but I'm not sure if I like it, those changes, but it was a lot of fun. Everybody had a lot of fun doing it.
I know, I gave you some good suggestions too, I think.
You did. You did. And I tell you the truth, I never spent time on it. If I would spend some time on it, I think I could really iron it out. But everything needs time. Can't do 5 things.
Nothing's easy.
No, nothing. And you have so many titles. You are so talented. Besides acting, directing, and real estate, a curator.
Right, I curate the gallery at the Blue Heron Art Center, which I've been doing, I think it's about 6 years now. The Blue Heron's on 24th between Park and Lex. We currently have an Adam Swat. He's a young artist in the gallery. He's really talented. We have some of his large oil and acrylic canvases, and we have some of his smaller pieces too. But what we have coming up that's really exciting there is we have the Blue Heron. There are 2 theaters, the small Black Box and then the larger 99 off-Broadway theater. And the lobby and the foyer of the theaters flow together in one continuous space with very high ceilings and white walls, and that's the gallery. And in the larger theater, we have the Maryland tapes coming in. And the Maryland tapes were done at La Mama not too long ago. It's a one-woman show, based on Maryland's last tapes. And one of the visions of that gallery was to always have something in one of the theaters that was in the gallery, something that was in conjunction to one another. Well, out of the 6 or 7 years that I've been curating that space, this will be only the 3rd time that we've been able to have an exhibit that corresponded to something that was going on in the theater. So Ruth Ferred has been so kind to offer to lend us Bert Stearns for this Maryland tapes show that's going to be on. So we're going to have a Bert Stearns exhibit. I don't know, they're at her, some of them are at her gallery right now, the Bert Stearns. They're huge. They're like 33 by 66 or 33 by 70. I mean, enormous blow-ups. They just opened, I think last Friday she had an opening and Bert was there. They're overwhelming, and and I'm sure we'll probably have some smaller pieces. I don't know, we haven't fine-tuned everything that's going to come into the show. But that's really exciting to have those 2 things happening, in the theater and in the gallery, and to support one another at the same time.
You're talking a lot about New York City, but you have a house out here. You live out here half the time, and you write for Dan's paper.
Oh, yeah.
Dan's paper is the Hamptons.
The Bible.
Yes.
Dan's is the Bible.
Yes.
I remember when I first started coming out here, Dan's paper was like about 4 or 5 pages, in the off season.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was, in the season. And that's going back to the very, very early 80s. But yeah, I have, we write theater reviews for Dan's. We cover the New York theater scene, primarily Broadway. We do off-Broadway stuff occasionally, but more Broadway. We have a review of Lenin, which just opened a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks ago, is in the paper currently. And we have coming up, which will be published this Thursday, is Terrence McNally's new work, which is at the 59 East 59th Street Theater, Elizabeth Klein House Theater there. There's 3 marvelous, and Terrence is out here as well. Terrence is in Sag Harbor, so his latest play, called Dedication, or The Stuff of Dreams, it will be the review coming up on Thursday.
You never review anything that's happening here in the Hamptons?
No, We don't, it's not our focus. Jan Silver covers most of that stuff for Dan's. You know, occasionally when she can't do that, we'll step in and cover something, but it's infrequent. I've covered a couple of things at Guildhall and something, I think from one of Mitzi Pazer's productions one time, and the theater in West Hampton, what's it called?
The West Hampton Theater of the Arts.
No, the other one.
In West Hampton?
Yeah, the one, they've done work here too.
I should know that, because I had Claire Michel here, who she's the executive director of the West Hampton Theater. And right now, the other theater is in Quogue. Is that the one you still know?
No, there's a theater right in West Hampton Beach there. Or maybe it is the one in Quogue. What's the theater? No, I don't think it, I think it's the one at West Hampton Beach.
Well, that's the only name I know.
But that's the West
Beach Theater.
Yeah. Anyway, I covered one of those that they do work here at. They used to use the stage in Guildhall until while their stage was being renovated.
Mm-hmm. Yes, well, Guildhall does a lot of productions from other companies, especially you know, when it's not the season, off season.
And so I'm a drama desk member, you know, because we cover the theater scene in New York, and we get to go to see everything, which is really exciting. And
How do you have time to do everything?
I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, so the theater is like my drug. And 24/7, we are doing something all the time. There's very little. You know, downtime is like going for a bicycle ride or going to the gym or something like that, and you know, get your 8 hours. I'm all for 8 hours of sleep and, you know, 3 squares.
Well,
and
how do you compare the theater in New York and the theater out here?
Don't ask me to do that.
I know it's much more sophisticated in the city. But what do you think, what can be done out here to bring it up a little more?
I think everyone's doing what they need to be doing. I mean, I think they're thinking out of the box, they're thinking creatively. We have 2 wonderful stages, you know, Bay Street and Guildhall. I mean, you know, what whet my appetite was working in Guildhall. I did a community theater piece about 7 years ago called Bury the Dead that I think it's Sandy Rosen is his name, directed. And the acoustics in Guildhall are fabulous. I hadn't done a play like in 14 years until I did that play at Guildhall, and I couldn't wait to get on the stage and perform every night because the acoustics were so good in that theater. You could just hear your voice reverberate, and it got me going, you know, and it got me to take the next step to start going to my acting workshop, which I still go to my acting workshop once a week, every week, from 7 to 11 on Tuesday evening in New York. You know, and I put up scenes. I probably put up 150 scenes in the past 5 years. And you know what's really ironic, there's this woman, Katie, and I don't know Katie's last name at the moment, but we just did a scene in my acting workshop from a Nikki Silver play called Fit to be Tied. And Katie and I, unbeknownst to either one of us, were in Bury the Dead together. And because Bury the Dead was like a huge cast, and we didn't have any scenes together, we didn't know. It was only in talking. I said, "Oh, I did this play that got me started at Guildhall called Bury the Dead." She goes, "Bury the Dead?" She goes, "I was in Bury the Dead." She says, "I played the reporter." I said, "Well, I played one of the soldiers that was getting, that was murdered and was getting." She goes, "Oh," it was like, and then when she said who she played, I remembered her then. So, it's the theater is a small world, like the world is a small world. The longer you're around it, the smaller it becomes, and the people that stay in it, you cross their paths over
I noticed
and
that,
over again.
since I started this show that all the people who come and how many people I know, and I know this one knows this and that one knows that. It's like you said, it's a small world. Like before, when you came, you found Ruth was just leaving.
Right. I love Ruth.
Yeah,
Ruth
and
is...
she expressed the same feelings towards you. She was so excited. Oh, Patrick, he's one of my favorite people.
Well, Ruth is one of my favorite people too. I was, you know, I was lucky enough to meet her when she first, you know, took over.
And I remember that because we went to Guildhall once a couple of years ago, and you introduced me to Ruth. And she said, oh yes, he's one of my favorite people. I remember her saying that. So you write this column with Barry?
Barry Gordon, he's my colleague, yeah.
And he takes the pictures.
And he takes the pictures. And he actually has his own column called Gordon's View, which is a photo column.
A photo column, yeah.
Of events out here and in the city, and, you know.
Does he ever make I should have asked him, does he ever make a mistake? He takes a picture and puts the wrong name under?
Never.
He never made a mistake.
He's never made a mistake.
And that's marvelous.
He's like so focused about getting those names right. Occasionally the paper's picked up the names incorrectly and they've made a mistake, but Barry's now occasionally he'll make a spelling mistake, but never gets the wrong name with the wrong person.
So what would you like to do in the future? Do you already know you have something picked out, or are you still thinking?
Oh, I have two new projects.
New projects.
Well, one project in particular, and the other one, we'll see what happens with that. Someone invited me to participate in something just this past Saturday night. You know, we went to the Guildhall, Moby Dick, and someone who was at the opening of Guildhall had just optioned a new play that was being done in the Fringe Festival, and she asked me if I wanted to participate in it. And I said, what's it about? And she kind of told me what it was about, and it sounded really exciting. It sounded like something that was like right up my alley. So we'll see how far that goes. And I have a new play by a up-and-coming, talented author. But, you know, I can't talk about any of these things because they're too new to really get into them yet. I actually was supposed to be in town this Monday to meet with the author of this other play, but it's about a theater family. It's a 5-character play, and we'd like to do it off Broadway, and with the hopes of maybe moving it, you know, do it at a nice, respectable house. And we're talking about who might be in it, who might direct it, those kinds of things. And I like the play a lot. It has a couple of themes that I like to get people to think about. So I was drawn to it for that reason. And I love the author. She's really a cool person, too. But, you know, we didn't get to have our meeting, so we had to postpone it because real estate got in the way. I mean, like, you know.
Money comes first. Money comes first. You can't do anything.
I like to say just the opposite. What feeds your spirit comes first, because without having an alive spirit, nothing matters.
Right, but you have to eat.
Well, you know, so I focused on money for so long. Now I'm focusing on what feeds the spirit. And if you focus on what feeds the spirit, then you'll eventually, you know, make sure that you also take care of the pocketbook, because they go hand in hand. I mean, and you...
Well, you have to have spirit. I mean, if you don't have spirit, you can't do anything, no matter how much money you have.
If you don't love what you're doing, if you don't love what you're doing, you're not going to be successful at it. You know, I love houses too, you know, and doing real estate is like performing in a way. You know, people have not the clue what it takes into showing a house, and you make it look so simple. Like when you're an actor, you know, you get on the stage and you make it look so easy. I mean, when you came to see The Owl and the Pussycat, it looked like it was a slice of life, right?
Yes, I'm sure you worked hard on it.
But how much work goes into making it look easy is what it's about. And the same thing into showing houses. I mean, you have to know the whole inventory, you have to have seen all the houses, then you have to narrow it down and figure out what it is your customer is looking for, and so that you don't waste their time. So you only show a few houses, and you show most fabulous houses, and they think, oh, it's so easy. They just show me 3 houses and I bought one. But they don't know how many houses we looked at, how many houses we viewed, how many telephone calls we made to make it look simple. The same thing goes into the rehearsal process to make the moments.
So just very quickly, a few nice words about, you had seen Moby Dick?
Oh, yes, I saw Moby Dick. Tony Walton is, everyone should see Moby Dick because Tony Walton directed it, and he is he's a legend in the theater. And he knows everybody, he's seen everybody. The movement that they've done with that is so interesting, and the concept based on the Orson Welles play. Tony saw that play 25 times when Orson Welles did it in London, in England. Yeah.
It's amazing, he really liked that. Yes. So can we have any hopes of you coming, doing something here artistically in the theater?
Oh, there's something, I talked to Josh about a couple of things. We'll see what happens. There's something I want to read here. We might want to, so I don't know.
Great. You should come on the naked stage and do a play reading for us. That would be great.
We just might, yeah.
Well, Patrick, would you believe a whole half hour?
No, I went quick.
I said, and nobody believes that. It does go
You make it
very
easy.
And I'm so happy you finally came, because you are and I like you a lot.
I like you too.
It's so easy. You're a very interesting person. And I think we're coming to an end. Oh, I want to thank my crew. Oh my goodness, I remembered Lee Davis, my director, and Michael, with the camera, and of course everybody here at LTV. And I didn't have any underwriters for today, so. But I want, oh my goodness, look at that picture, I forgot. And write to me if you could figure out who they are and what picture that was in. That's today's trivia question.
Oh, I know.
And write to me, and the winner will be a guest on my show. So, and now I'm going to say goodbye, everybody. I'm waving. You want to say goodbye to people? Okay, there's bye. And maybe we could do
Love me in Paris. Love me